Okay, so today we're looking at our last lesson in the Investing Money Finance unit. So today the topic has to do with investment portfolios. So basically what an investment portfolio is it refers to someone's investment. So it could be one investment. Some people have multiple investments in different places. And so a portfolio would just represent a person's investments. So there are different kinds of investments, um, and your job is to basically know just a little bit of general information about different kinds of investments. So for people that would go on further with this in finance, they would then learn specifics about different kinds of investments. So for us, it's more of a general thing. So some of the choices people may make with respect to investments would be, do I want an investment with a guaranteed return or no guaranteed return? So there's pros and cons with those. Do I want something that's locked in for a certain period of time or not locked in? And then do I want something with government incentives or not? So we're just going to go over these kind of 5 different types of investments, and your job is to kind of know pros and cons, like a pro and con of each. So that's something you could write on your study sheet. So the first type of investment is a GIC, so a guaranteed investment certificate, or something like a Canada Savings Bond. So with these types of investments, the money you get back at the end is fixed. So what that means is basically when you invest your money, you can literally calculate how much money you'll get back in the end, and that's guaranteed. You get that money after that period of time. There's very limited risk with this because you know you're getting that money back, um, and so you won't lose any money in this type of investment. So you might say, well, that sounds great. Why would someone, uh, like, what would be a con of this investment? So because of the fixed rate and because there's no real risk, you really aren't going to make that much money. So it's a limited interest or limited return. The interest rates are usually pretty low for GIC or Canada Savings Bond. You got to keep your money, um, in them for a period of time. So with that, there is a restriction. So because it is a set, could be 2 years, could be 3 years, 5 years, whatever you choose. Technically, your money is um, locked in that investment. So with that, the only way you can get your money back is if before the period of time is up, is if you break that contract. And so with that, there'll be a penalty. So that would be a con. Your money is, like, say you have this money, you put in the investment, and then a year later you realize, oh, I want to move into a house and I need a down payment, or something happened to my car and I need a new one. You'd have to have a penalty to get that money, pay a penalty to get that money back. Okay, the next type of investment would be a stock. So with stocks, you're becoming a part owner in that company. So you may hear about stocks a lot in the news. With stocks, over the long run, you could get a higher rate of return, right? If that company is doing really well, the stock market will reflect that, and then your amount of money will go up that you have, and so that return will be higher. Okay, a con with that is if the company does not do well, all of a sudden, if something happens in the economy and that company stocks go down, you're losing money. So with stocks, you definitely run that risk of losing. And another pro with stocks is you can take your money out when you feel like there may be some sort of risk. You can pull your money and move it around from stocks to stocks and things like that. Okay, the next one is a mutual fund. That's a professional investment program. So a pro for that would be a professional. You're hiring a professional to make the decisions. Your risk of losing all your money is minimized because of that, a scenario that you're hiring someone whose job is to make you money. There are a variety of cons though, so you don't get much say yourself, and you're tying your money up for a long term. RRSPs, you maybe have heard of those before. They are investments for retirement. So a lot of times before the tax season, people will buy RRSPs because of the tax incentive. So basically they're taking the amount of investment the amount of money you put in the investment off of your income for your taxes, so you get taxed less. And there's no interest on the tax that you earn in RSPs. So obviously your money with RSPs will be locked up for a long period of time because you're saving them for when you retire, right? Our ESPs are a little bit different. Some of you may actually have these. They are saved for post-secondary education. So what happens is our ESPs are bought for students in high school, in elementary, or whatever. And then when they graduate, they take out the money in the RESP and they use it towards tuition or books. So the good thing about RESPs is the government, it's an incentive program, so the government chips in money towards those RESPs. So whatever you invest, they invest towards that too. So that's how you make money off of them. The con with RESPs would definitely be if there's some kind of change in plans and you don't go to post-secondary. So you're obviously still going to get your money back, but you wouldn't get all that government incentive towards it. You'd have to give that back because you're not using it for post-secondary. Okay, so just a general, like you're not becoming kind of any kind of investment specialist or anything like that. You just need to have like a pro and con of each, or you'll see with the next question kind of what a typical question would look like where you need a little bit of background information. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So it says Mr. Chang is 64. He plans to retire next year. In his portfolio, it includes the following investments. He's got $50,000 in mutual funds, $100,000 in stocks, and $20,000 in GIC certificates. So does this portfolio include an appropriate level of risk for Mr. Chang at this stage in his life? So looking at this, for Mr. Chang, he's got most of his money in stocks. Now, when someone gets to an age where they're, about to retire, so he'd probably be considering retiring, or it says here that he's retiring next year. We don't want our money in like a risky place, right? So I would say, does it include an appropriate amount of risks? I would say no. So stocks may not be the best choice. Because he has a high level of risk. Okay, he may want to choose something, a bond. He may want to choose a tax-free savings account, something that doesn't have such a high level of risk there. Okay, let's look at the next question. Mr. Chang's investments had the following return last year. His mutual fund increased by 12%, stocks decreased by 4%, and GIC has an annual interest rate of 3%. Calculate the average rate of return. So remember, this is a formula we want on our formula sheet. To calculate the rate of return, we're taking the earnings divided by the principal. So we got to figure out what his earnings are. So if someone is having an increase, so 12% increase, remember when we work with percents, we change them to decimals. So to figure out what his return would be, so he has $50,000 in mutual funds. These are increasing by 12%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply it by 12% as a decimal to get the amount of increase. So times 0.12, and watch all your zeros. These are going to be hard because the big numbers, you just got to make sure you type in the right amount of zeros. So this looks like he's getting an extra $6,000. So if at the beginning of the year he had $50,000, at the end of the year he'd have $56,000. Okay, for stocks are going down by 4%. So we want to first calculate what 4% of this would be. So remember, changing to a decimal, you divide by 100, so that'd be 0.04. Okay, so 4% of 100,000 is 4,000. Now this is going down, so we'd actually be subtracting. So it's a negative $4,000. So we're taking 100,000, what he initially has, and subtracting off the 4,000 that he lost. So at the end of the year, he's going to end up with $96,000 in his stocks. Okay, and then as GIC, looks like he's getting a 3% increase. So we're going to take his $20,000 and multiply it by 3%. So that looks like he gets $600. So like I said, low interest rate on GICs, but he's definitely not going to lose any money there. So he has $20,600. Okay, so in the end, he has invested, so let's fill in the bottom of the table. So the amount of money he put out to his investments was 50,000 plus 100,000 plus 20,000. So that's going to be $170,000. So that's his principal. And then what did he end up getting for earning wise? So in the middle column, I'm looking at, he got a positive $6,000 for his mutual funds. Then he lost $4,000 for his stocks, but then he gained back $600 for his GIC. So in the end, he's earned $2,600 of interest. Okay, so to calculate his rate of return, you're taking the earnings, so that's $2,600, and you're dividing it by how much of his own money he put out. And then this gives you an answer as a decimal, which you need to change to a percent. So $2,600 divided by 170,000 gives me 0.015. And remember, in applied, you can't stop at, if you're changing something to a percent, you can't stop at 2 decimal places at the decimal, because then when you times by 100, you're going to lose those decimals there. So timesing this by 100, we want to make sure we get a decimal place on, or 2 rounded correctly. So it'll be 529, which would round to 53. So it looks like he's getting a return of 1.5% on his investment, which is kind of crummy. So that's pretty low. So that would be represented because he lost the money there in the stocks. Yeah, okay, so we're going to look at the questions on the next page now. So there are 5 portfolio investment questions. They basically look the same as the questions that we've been doing. Just sometimes when there is multiple investments, you have to make sure you use the TI-83 solver separately, and then you combine your answers at the end. So you just got to watch carefully with the questions. Okay, so let's look at the first question here. So Ahab is saving to buy a new fishing boat. He invests $25,000 at 4.2%, compounded monthly for 5 years. What's his rate of return? So remember, that rate of return is going to be the calculation of earnings. So that's the interest earned divided by the principal, so his own money that he puts out. So for that, we definitely need to find out what the future value is, and then use the future value to calculate how much interest was earned. So because this is compound, we need to use the solver. So we've got 4.25% interest rate. He's investing it for 5 years. He's giving away $25,000, so that's a negative $25,000. We're solving for future value. There's no monthly payments or weekly payments or anything like that. So we revert back to our PMT being 0 and our PY being 1. And we're looking at compounding monthly. So in our solver, so let me just calculate this. So you can practice plugging it into your solver right now. We're looking at NS5 4.25 for I. So minus 25,000 for PV. No payment. PY stays at 1 for default, and then 12 for CY. So in the end, it looks like he's getting back after 5 years $30,907.55 rounded correctly. So to find his interest or his earnings, okay, so that's the earnings. What did he actually earn from this investment? We're taking his future value, that's how much he got, minus what he put out of his own money, so we can figure out how much interest did he actually earn. So do second mode to get out of that window. 30,907.55 minus 25,000. So it looks like he's earning $5,907.55 of interest. So back to our rate of return formula. On the top is his earnings. On the bottom is his principal that he put in. So he put in 25,000. So we're doing a division and then a times by 100 to get it into percent. So 5907.55 divided by 25,000 times 100. Looks like he got a 23.63% rate of return. So pretty good. Okay, next question. So this is a portfolio, so you can see when there's like multiple points or multiple like different investments, you're going to need to do multiple solvers. So the first one is quarterly deposits of $750 into an account, earning 3.27% compounding quarterly, and this is for 5 years. And the second is a 5-year investment of $15,000. Remember, you got to read carefully to decide, is it a one-time investment or is it like over and over again? So for the first one with quarterly deposits, that's something that's happening every 4 times a year or every 3 months. So that would be a payment instead of a present value. Remember, a present value is like a one-time opening thing. A payment is something that reoccurs. So if their payment is reoccurring quarterly, so that's 4 times a year, the payments per year would be 4. So then we'd have to remember that later we got to make sure we times our n by that 4. So we're looking at compounded quarterly, so that'll be 4 times a year as well. 3.27% interest. Now this is 5 years, but we have to times it by our PY. So that's 5 times 4. And then we're looking for our future value. So then we're looking at a 5-year investment of $15,000. So it's not saying every year for 5 years. It's just saying there's a one-time investment of $15,000 at the beginning. Then it sits for 5 years in this investment. It's only compounded once a year, and there's no payment. So those are the defaults for those two. Okay, so we'd want to use our solver to find out future value for both of these. And then the question is asking basically what's the portfolio worth after these 5 years. So we got to do the solver twice and then add together the two future values. Okay, so for this investment, I forgot to say, since there's no starting of the account, we just keep a 0 there. So for this one, we're looking at $16,224, and this rounds to 12 cents because it's a 115. And then for the second investment, we're looking at ending up with $21,136.77. So to find the current value, we're just adding the two future values together. I'm going to do that in my calculator. So 16224.12 plus 21136.77. So it looks like this account after 5 years is worth $37,360.89. So not account, but portfolio. So that would be the current value of the portfolio. Okay, next question. Here's another portfolio. So maybe pause the video and try and do this on your own, and then I'll fill in the numbers, and then you can check your answer. So this one's looking for a rate of return. So you got to do that extra work at the end where you figure out what is the total earnings. So looking at the interest made in each of the investments, and then on the bottom looking at the principal paid out in each investment. So maybe try and do it, pause it, try and do it, and then play it to see how you do. Okay, so for the first one, we're looking at monthly deposits. So each payment is going to be $280. The investment interest is 3.15. This is compounded monthly. So it looks like there's just monthly deposits. This is for 8 years. So not forgetting that we need to multiply the 8 times the 12 as well to get those 96 payments there. Okay, so and then for the second one, we're looking at an 8-year investment. So it looks like they're just putting in a straight $3,200 to begin with, 5.2% for 8 years, compounded once a year. So there'd be no payment if PY stays at 1. So we're looking for future values here. Calculating future values for both. So for the first one, $280 payments, compounded monthly. So for this one, it looks like we're getting a future value of $30,524.94. And then for the second one, looks like we're ending up with $4,800.38. Okay, so now for the second one, it's easy to calculate the interest earned. So you're taking the $4,838 minus the $3,200 that the person put in the investment. So I'll do that subtraction. So the interest earned for that one is $1,600.38. I'm just going to put that. So it was $1,600.38 of their own money earned, and they put out $3,200 of their own money. It's the first one that's a little more complicated. So yes, in the end, they got about $30,500, but we have to calculate how much. They didn't just put $280 out. They put $280 out 12 times a year for 8 years. So that calculation is going to tell us how much of their own money they actually put out. So in the end, it was actually $26,880 that they were giving of their own money. So to figure out how much money they actually earned interest-wise, we have to take the money, their future value, so the $30,524.94, and subtract this $26,880 to figure out how much interest they actually earned. So 3524.94 minus 26,880. Looks like from this investment, they're getting $3,644.94. So that's their interest earned, so that's going to go on the top. So in your calculator, make sure you add put brackets around, if you're putting this all in at once, put brackets around the top number so that it gets added first before the divide happens. And then same thing with the bottom, put brackets around that so it gets added before the divide happens. Okay, and then divide and then times by 100. Looks like we have a rate of return of 17.44%. Okay, so brackets in your calculator, or you can just add it before you divide, but that's the rate of return you should get. Okay, same kind of idea, so two different investments, and we're looking for the rate of return. So very similar to this one. So if you want to pause and try that one on your own as well, go ahead. Okay, for this question, for the first one, it looks like Shelley inherited $10,000. She's putting it in a bond, so that would be a one-time investment. So that would be a PV and not a PMT. So remember, a PMT is when there's a reoccurring payment. So this investment has no payment, so then we're going to go to the default numbers. She's investing this for 5 years. And then she's also making weekly deposits. So once we see deposits or something reoccurring, we know that's a payment. There's 52 weeks in a year, so that would be 52 for our PY. And this is for 5 years. So 5 years and 52 a year, that's going to be a lot of those $120 payments. Those are invested at 3.3% interest because it's a monthly or a weekly payment, and there was no talk of a balance opening in the account. We start that at 0, and then this one's compounded weekly as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and find the future values for each one of these. So for the first one, we're looking at 4.4 minus 10,000 compounded monthly. So in the end of the 5 years, she's got $12,455 in this account and 75 cents. In the other account, it looks like she'll have, this one's going to be a lot of money because she's given quite a bit of her own money, $120 every week. So 52, 52. So it looks like she has $33,909.94. So since this one is looking for a rate of return, I'm going to do the same thing as the last, where we figure out what's the interest for each one, add those together, what's the principal for each one, add those together. So for the first one, it should be pretty easy. She's giving $10,000 of her own money. In the end, she has $12,000, so that means she earns the $2,455.75. The second one, it's a little more complicated. She's doing the $120 payments 52 times a year for 5 years. So that looks like she gave $31,200 of her own money. So to figure out how much interest she earned, we're taking our future value minus that 31,000. So 33,909.94 minus the 31,200. So she got $2,709.94 in interest. So that's going to go at the top here. And then that was of her own money, the 31,200. Okay, so now just adding this in our calculator. If we're doing it all at once, just watch your brackets. On the top, I have the 2,400 plus 2,700 divided by the 10,000 plus the 31,200 times 100. So So it looks like she's got a rate of return of 1.60%. Okay, and then the last question, we're looking at comparing two portfolios. And each portfolio has a different investment in it. So maybe work through this question, and then I'll just pause the video right now. I'll put all the answer up, and then you can check your answer. Okay, so here's all the values filled in, and then I just didn't have enough space to rate on here, so I just added another picture. So just remember, for rate of return, we're calculating how much interest for each investment, and then divided by how much principal was put out. So this shows for each one, for portfolio X, the two amounts of interest calculated on the top, and then the two principals on the bottom. For the first one, the rate of return is about 52%. The second one is about 64%, so portfolio Y would be the best choice. Okay, so now you're looking at doing the practice, and then next week I'm going to assign the practice test in the notes, so then we can start moving on to the next unit. Okay, have a great day. So you guys have, like, this is a lot of work, but I know you have till Friday to finish it all.